Hi, my name is Valeria Rodriguez. Today I'm going to be talking about Criminal Minds and how it can be applied to Mean World Syndrome in our society today. Now, Criminal Minds is a drama series on CBS that follows the lives of fictitious FBI agents. They work for the Behavioral Analysis Unit and they follow criminals, rapists, serial killers, and they help track them down. Now, this series is infamous for their level of violence and the crimes shown throughout the show. The show definitely replicates a lot of atrocities committed by real criminals and shows the world around us as a dangerous place. The series sort of makes America seem like if it's crawling with murderers and there's serial killers around every corner, and we should all just be on lookout all the time. And this show definitely reaches a lot of people. Viewers are able to access Criminal Minds through broadcast television and streaming services like Netflix. On average, they reach about 5 million viewers per episode between the ages of 18 and 49, men and women. The show definitely has an intended shock factor and drama factor for fans, and it really keeps people hooked. I personally am a huge fan and have been a huge fan of the show for a long time. However, after watching, you might find yourself feeling a little bit more paranoid and a bit fearful of our reality. And this can lead to the possibility of viewers developing Mean World Syndrome. Mean World Syndrome is something that is developed over time. It's being constantly exposed to violence in the media, whether it be through news, books, television shows, all of that kind of stuff. And it just kind of changes your perspective and your viewpoint of life over time. This can be detrimental to our society because we begin to become weary of the world around us. And when we're constantly exposed to this level of violence, we believe it's a surrounding reality. We start to believe the world is more dangerous than it actually is, and this can lead to negative stereotypes and paranoia. And these effects are definitely a dangerous coupling, especially in today's world. The message that Criminal Minds is reinforcing has definitely had an impact on my life and my communication behavior. So, for instance, I work downtown, and there are a lot of homeless people in the area. There are a lot of people coming and going. There's always a lot of people downtown walking around. And so, I personally now, when I walk downtown, I'm very aware of my surroundings. I try to keep a lookout at all times about, who's around me. Where's the nearest police officer? Do I have my phone? And, sometimes I even put my keys through my fingers just because you never know if something's going to happen. And I do all of this despite the fact that I've never been attacked in my life. Thank God, I've never had anything bad happen to me. But I still have this innate fear that something could happen, that there could be an attack, that someone could provoke me, something could happen. And I'm just going to make a few inferences as to how Criminal Minds could possibly have affected my behavior. So, for instance, the way I look at society around me. Criminal Minds typically depicts their criminals are typically men, and so when I'm out in public, I am typically more aware if there's going to be a man around me than versus a female. I do get a little more fearful. I don't know why, but it's just in me. And another thing that I've also seen is I kind of have this belief that there is crime and violence kind of going on everywhere, and that might not actually be the reality, especially in San Antonio. And I also have a belief that people are constantly, being attacked, not as in, actually being beaten or something, but just a crime is happening to them, whether they were robbed or verbally assaulted or anything like that. So these are just a few things that I think have definitely been impacted by my view on the world, which definitely has been changed because of the shows that I watch, like Criminal Minds. I've also learned throughout this experience that media consumption should be practiced in moderation, especially when it comes to violent content. My exposure to violent media caused me to feel a bit paranoid, scared, and defensive at times. Now that I've made some inferences, I will discuss how they can be transferred to other situations. So, for example, it's not just shows like Criminal Minds that depict these violent images and stuff like that. There's also news reports of violence that we're seeing on a daily basis. We're constantly being bombarded with reports of assaults and guns, and a lot of violent things have just been happening in the news, and we're constantly exposed to that. Kids are exposed to that, adults, everyone. Another place where we see this theme is in video games and comic book violence. We can see a lot of that there. Grand Theft Auto, for example. Some of the Marvel comics can be a bit violent. At the end of the day, these are all forms of media that we're all consuming that have violence and can lead to mean world syndrome. Using the information I know now, I would lessen my media consumption of shows like Criminal Minds and other, violent shows like that, and research factual data and statistics about crime so I could kind of ease my worries. I would also try to open my communication more with strangers and try not to assume the worst of everyone. I believe this is something we all deal with in life. We're scared of opening up to people and trusting others because the risks can be very great when you open yourself up. But in conclusion, today's world can be a very scary place, but it's not all bad. We shouldn't be afraid of new experiences, and we should try to open ourselves up to others. We are constantly exposed to violent media and may not realize how it's affecting our daily behavior, but we should try to discover the world for ourselves and not depend on what we see on a book or on a screen.